This is Toon Talk Weekly, episode 224. This week, Brad and I jump back into the world of Clash from Supercell when we watch an episode of the series Clash-A-Rama.
Sorry, Doc. Ooh, that voice of yours sounds awful. Let's take a look, shall we? Oh, just as I thought. You've got ash throat.
Oh.
You've got to let your throat heal for a week, or, well, you may not live the full dragon's life of 800 years.
But Doc, I'm just starting out. I'm only level 1.
And you'll never see level 2 if you don't lay off flaming for 1 week.
But Doc, I'm only...
Doc, I'm gonna take lunch.
Okay, Carl, enjoy.
I know what you did, and you know what you did.
The day just keeps getting better.
Where is that kid?
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday once again. That means it's time for another episode of the weekly cartoon podcast, Toon Talk Weekly. That is, of course, this show. Thank you once again for joining us to talk all about some cartoons this week. I'm Jake Williams, but I'm going to bring a familiar voice over here if you've listened to the show before. My good buddy Brad Chmielewski to chat some cartoons again. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well, dude. It's been a weird few weeks of cartoons. It's no secret here on the show that we do put them out every week, but you and I have been doing a lot of traveling.
Yeah, we've both been away, so we've been bashing them, watching more cartoons in a shorter amount of time, but making sure the podcast comes out for everybody.
Yeah, we want to make sure. I think it might have been last week's episode or a couple weeks ago that I got done a little bit, or I posted a little late because I was pretty much sans Wi-Fi for a little while, but it's just so funny because I'm at a weird point with this show where it's like, I don't remember what we watched when I posted it the other day. I believe I'm thinking of the Big Mouth episode, which is a really fun cartoon to watch. And
Right.
When I was like, oh yeah, I got to put the show up. I'll do that when I get internet later this afternoon. And then sure enough, I was like, oh yeah, that's what we watched. Crazy. So
I take it you haven't watched any more Big Mouth then yet.
no, I haven't. I've seen more billboards about it around Detroit than I have watched episodes. That's kind of where I'm at. Have you watched any more of that show?
No, I haven't, but I finished all of OK KO that's on the Cartoon Network app. So
Still a fan?
yeah, I'm all caught up there. So either now I watch Big Mouth or I watch Gumball. So
Yep. Is OKKO up in your top echelon of current favorite cartoons?
no,
Weird. You're like, I like it, but it's not
I like it.
It's not Steven Universe good.
Yeah, there's no real depth. It's fun, and I would rather watch a regular show over OK KO. So
Wow. Okay. I remember regular show being pretty great. I went through a bunch of that when we watched it for this show, which was 2 years ago.
There's 6 seasons, so it's a lot of episodes. I think I have half of a season left of that to watch.
Well, I wonder, it'll be interesting to see then if KO, I assume, will be, get more seasons, but maybe they dive in more of that stuff. I don't know. It's weird. When you watch a show right from the beginning, especially when it's new, it might be a little hard for them to start developing stuff because they're bringing you into that world. But it'll be interesting to see where that goes, because it's easy to look back, I think, on some retrospective type stuff and say, oh, Adventure Time has so much heart. And it's like, well, did the first season? I don't know. Kind of.
Yeah.
But I don't claim to be a buff on finishing anything other than the episodes we watched for this week. And this week's cartoon, we watched an episode of a show that I can basically only find on YouTube. It's called Clash-A-Rama. And if Clash is something that you're familiar with hearing, whether it's on your phone or mobile device, that's exactly what this is based on. It's an animated series online based on the games by Supercell, Clash of Clans, and Clash Royale. As far as I can tell, this series premiered, at least the second season started in 2016, but there are some things. I know the IMDb page mentioned it was actually out in 2014, but I can't find any of those early episodes. The only ones I can find are credited as being season 2.
Okay.
So what I'm wondering, and I wouldn't put this past them because I think Angry Birds did this before Angry Birds had Angry Birds Tunes, was that I wonder if the first season is only in one of the apps, like the Clash of Clans app.
That's possible.
But so kind of interesting that this thing got its own show, and I don't know why I'm not surprised, but it's something I hadn't even thought of because these are games I think you and I both have a familiarity with. I think I never got into Clash of Clans. Was that a game you played?
No, Clash Royale. Like Clash of Clans, I never really played. I've played it, but I never really played it because it's a game that just grinds and never ends, and that's, I don't know. I'm not down for that.
And it's one of those games, I think it's always credited sometimes as one of those games that abuse the microtransaction system that we sort of have in mobile gaming these days, where it's like, if you pay a lot, you can be on top of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
So kind of interesting there. And then Clash Royale came out just a few years ago, I think. Clash of Clans was 2012, so Clash Royale was maybe 2015, 14 or something. And this game's a lot. If you've ever played the game, I think you and I would probably both not recommend playing the game.
Clash of Clans? No. Clash Royale is fun.
I was going to say Clash Royale is fun. However, I can feel the microtransaction stuff there, and that's what turns me off about it. However, if you want like a quick mobile game that's like really colorful, the animations are great, the characters of these worlds are awesome. Some of the ads that have been done, the commercials to advertise these games, are some of my favorite game cinematic commercials ever. I think PsyOp, a company, does them. So there's some really great stuff there. However, Clash Royale, like even though they're short games, I've always felt, man, they just want you to one more game or put in $10 and play less game. I don't know. It's weird.
I would recommend going back to it because they have a 2v2 mode, so you can either team up with a friend or team up with a random person. Mm-hmm. Same map, same idea, except there's like a bigger, I guess, king tower you have to take down. And then they just put in this thing called touchdown mode where it's basically a football field and your plan is to get a guy to the enemy end zone. That's it. That's how you win. And you do it with another person, so it's 2 versus 2.
Yeah. So is it are the football games are those way faster than even the other ones?
It's about the same time, like 3 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the perfect game. It's exactly what I think Angry Birds was trying to do, or was before this, which was like Clash found a way to distill their product and their characters and their world into a very quick, enjoyable experience that you can literally play. Oh, I'm at the bus stop. I got 5 minutes. I can play this game and feel satisfied. But I just know, man, if I'm going to download it after the show. I know it. It's going to, and then I'm going to like be just sucked right back in. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it's fun. You should.
Dang it. All right, here we go. So the series Clash-A-Rama, again, based on those games by Supercell, it's kind of like not indirectly, it's indirectly related to both. I would say in the episode we watched today, there are moments that I felt like they were talking to me about something from Clash of Clans, and then there were other moments where I thought they were talking to me about like a unit or a character that is in Clash Royale. It seems to kind of be across the board. The animation was produced by Rough Draft Studios, Inc., and it was created by Tolerable Entertainment in association with Supercell Oi, who actually owns it. And as I mentioned, on YouTube, there's 1 season and 10 episodes. However, I'm finding other accounts that say there's 2 seasons and 20 episodes. If you're familiar with Clash Royale, or Clash-A-Rama, or any of the Clash series, hit us up, toontalkweekly@gmail.com. Let me know when the show actually came out and how many episodes there are and where I can find season 1, because it's not anywhere on YouTube. Okay. However, their YouTube page, you can go, you'll see clips of the episode here in this show. But if you want to watch them, you can go over to, I think it's just the Clash Royale or Clash of Clans YouTube page and find it pretty easily in playlists. However, man, they have so many esports videos. They have we did this series with a bunch of people with a new deck, and it's crazy how much content they're putting out.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with them.
Yeah. So let's talk about an episode, because as far as characters go, I wasn't going to go into each and every one. If you're familiar with the games, your familiar faces are here. You've got, your hog riders, your giants, your archers, your skeletons of various varieties, as well as goblins of various varieties, whether they're like bomb ones or air ones, or you get your mages, and like all these units you're used to from all of the games are pretty much represented here. And it's like they decided to say, what would the world of Clash Royale or Clash of Clans look like if it was like pedestrian everyday stuff? But they just had to deal with these situations like we'll talk about today, where there's a doctor. And what do these people do after they go to battle and then they have to go see a doctor? What would that be like? It's like everyday situation in this world, I think, is what Clash-A-Rama is trying to be. So let's talk about an episode. I put it down as episode 1, but it's just the first one on the playlist. I'm not sure exactly the order of them, but it's called Giant versus Giant Problem. And my first giant problem with this show, it's not a giant problem. Holy crap, dude. The first, it's 10-minute episodes, but the first 5 minutes are not about the title of the episode.
No, not at all. Yeah. But the whole episode isn't really about the episode. I don't know.
No. And so we'll get to it, but we'll lead you guys through an episode and then kind of talk to you, break down a little bit about how we feel about the show. We begin the episode with a very funny scene that, anytime you're trying to like identify a criminal or some sort of crime, you have a lineup of people and you're trying to pick them. And it's the Hog Rider here, who is this like big burly dude who rides a pig in battle. That's kind of his thing. Mm-hmm. He can't find his hog, and they've lined up these 5 goblins, and they're like, which one of them stole it? And they look exactly the same. So of course it's funny when you say, definitely number 4. He definitely took it. And he ends up going to jail. We get a very quick cut after this to that same goblin now in jail, like totally buff and like working out, which I'm assuming is also a character in the game.
I don't know if there's like a buff goblin.
Oh, gotcha. Well,
at least in Clash Royale, I don't know. Not all the characters are in both games sometimes.
Oh, true. It's kind of funny to think, though, if that is an actual character, that's how it got to be that, basically. Like, he went to jail and got all buff. Then he goes to jail, he gets all buff, he's doing pull-ups, and he's got a sign that says, like, the Hog Rider guy did this to him, he's going to get revenge when he gets out of jail. The Hog Rider dude shows up and basically says, hey, man, actually, I just misplaced my hog, so can you forgive me? He gets punched in both eyes, and the equating like bulges or like bruises on his eyes say the title Clash-A-Rama.
Yeah.
So as far as title cards go, that's kind of fun. That's probably one of the more fun ones we've done on this show.
I think so, yeah.
But then the episode switches from, hey, that was a fun scene, to now we're at the doctor. You've got various units here, like the knight guy has like a thermometer sticking out of his mouth. You've got a dragon who has some sort of like problem with his throat. He's been breathing too much fire. You've got another guy with like a bunch of acne or something like that. And then the Hog Rider sits down because he just got biffed in the face. So that's your transition to this scene. But what we do get as a focus here is the dragon is the next person to be seen by the doctor. The dragon goes in, and the doctor basically tells him, you have, I think, ash breath or something like that, and you need to lay off breathing the fire for a while.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Dude, I'm a dragon. That's all I do. There was a little nifty scene here where there's because it's a doctor's office, there's a hanging skeleton, like the anatomy kind of thing. And the dragon's like playing with him. He's got the thing to like bang your knees, the little hammer, and he's like playing the xylophone on the skeleton. But then later in this scene, the skeleton wakes up and he's like, I know what you did. I'm going on lunch.
Yeah, there's lots of like really funny scenes like that.
Yeah. It's just these like one-off things to kind of break up the dialogue of what's actually happening. There's some funny things here where he says like, you can't breathe fire for like a week, and if you do that, you can live a full dragon life of 800 years. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh man, I just started. I'm only level 1. Like, I want to make sure I get that far. It's kind of interesting that they have these different moments of, I'm going to make a point to say that I'm a level, as you would be in a video game, but then you're going to tell me I live to be so many years. Like, they're crossing over this very interesting, if you're familiar with the games, this is like way funnier, way more relevant to you, I think.
I think so, yeah. Well, it's a game. The show's not made for people that don't play the game.
True. I guess you could stumble upon it, but it might not have any significance at all at that point.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, okay, great scene. I don't know. So we do start following this dragon, I think, through a bunch of the rest of the episode, but we do get a cutaway here to, there's a tower, a lady, an archer up in a tower, and she's defending the keep, the village, when another archer comes up and she says, I'm a field archer, but now I'm going to be a tower archer, which again, totally calling out units from the game. There's 2 different types of archer, so that's what you could expect. And there's a great scene here where they're basically like, oh, I brought a flag, like things that a tower archer doesn't need, but the field archer might. And they have to defend against a bunch of like flying beasts are there, and also some of these skeletons who are... There's a unit in the game where it's like a hot air balloon, but the skeletons are floating over you with bombs.
Right.
And they got to take them down. They ran out of arrows. One of the ladies is basically the archers is like, well, then we stay here and accept defeat like the heroic archers we are. And she's like, that seems like a stupid plan.
Yeah, I'm not gonna die.
So they come up with, hey, you brought these dumb flags. Let's break them in half and use them as arrows. To which one of the archers says, you use something that wasn't an arrow as the bow and arrow? And I was like, oh my God, this is like a game design meeting. It's like they said, oh, we have archers. And then the next expansion when the game came out, they're like, wait, archers could shoot other stuff. Boom, new units. Flag shooters. I don't know.
Can I borrow some more arrows? I'm out.
Oh, guess I used more arrows than I thought.
What do we do now?
Accept death, like the proud archers we are.
That's a little dramatic.
I should have been a dentist! You shot something that's not an arrow.
Seemed to work. Your turn.
We all should have been dentists!
We did it!
Of course we did. We're tower archers. Both of us.
Did you just smile?
I don't do that.
Then we get the dragon. We cut back to him. He's at this birthday party, and I love that he can't breathe fire for a week. He's carrying around this hourglass and just like holding it like, as soon as this is done,
Yeah, fire will be mine.
I can breathe fire again. And he looks like he's pretty sick at this party, and he's trying to stay away from fire, basically. At one point, though, somebody says, oh, who wants to help light the candles? And everybody at this party stares at this dragon, to which he's like, oh my God, I just can't go anywhere. There is a little informational film here where we get this like black and white, how to build a hidden Tesla tower. Again, another unit from one of these games.
Right, which feels a little bit like maybe game marketing, like, hey, you should think about, trying out these Tesla towers. Maybe they were buffed around this time. So, yeah.
And buffed, I guess, for anyone who doesn't play games that often means basically they make a unit or a character like better in an update or something. But yeah, it was kind of a weird, like, here's how to build them and here's where to go. And that's all kind of neat and stuff, huh? And basically they show that it was really all a ruse just to get this guy to be lit on fire so that his sandwich is on fire so the dragon can see the sandwich and say, ah, crap. Like, it was really just to show fire, I guess. But also, I could see that dude being a cool tool, like they released it, and then kids or somebody saw the cartoon and said, oh my gosh, they're putting Tesla towers in the game. Like, they're not there yet. But, it's these days, digital games especially, it's really hard to hide stuff from people. People dig it up all the time. They know what's going to be put into the game. So the dragon flies away. He's got to get away from all this fire. He sees his buddies who are also dragons. They're just lighting up trees, having a great time. It sounds like they're smoking weed, but they're actually setting trees on fire, not just lighting up trees. And they invite him out to a little peer pressure. They're like, hey, we're going to go set some like villagers on fire. It's going to be great. And he's going to go with them, but then he has the thought bubble of the mage doctor basically telling him, like, you're not going to live a long life if you go breathing fire and stuff.
Yeah, you can't do that right now.
And so he decides not to go with them, as they basically call him not cool. Dude, we are now 6 minutes into this 10-minute episode, and here is where the giant versus giant problem title kind of comes in. We get one of the giant characters who's a very massive, dopey-looking character, and he knocks on the door of who I can only describe as the trainer from Rocky, like the Rocky films. And he says, listen, I need your help. I need you to train me to beat the champ. And he tells this backstory of why he needs to be trained to beat the champ. He's embarrassed because they just had a battle, like you would in the game. And the village, the town hall or whatever is like one hit away. He was right there. They were going to win the battle. But he's so dopey, he was just beating up a wall for no reason. He just had to turn and smack it.
Why would a guy like you want to be a fighter?
Because of what happened at the last battle? We were winning. I just needed to destroy the town hall.
He's gonna do it!
But then it was like my brain was hit with a freeze spell.
What are you doing? The town hall is right there. It's at 1%.
We lost. All fists and no brains.
I figured if I could beat the champ, I'd earn back some respect.
Anybody who goes after a wall has got my respect.
And it would have been fun.
Yeah, it's the way of the giant. They just attack the first thing that gets in their way, or they go for structures.
Okay, so it's not really controllable about what they go for.
Not really, yeah.
I thought, and I think you just confirmed this, that this was like a funny nod to players knowing that, like, well, that's how the AI of giants works. They just...
Yeah, sometimes you're like, why do you go over the wall? Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man. It reminds me of... I played a lot of these MOBA games, and sometimes characters have little units that you, like, shoot out, and you can kind of control, or they have, like, AI to them. And I remember all the patches that have fixed stuff like that to basically make them attack other things you actually want them to attack. It's like, it's right here in a cartoon. They basically call it right out. So after that embarrassment, he wants to be trained to beat the champ. We do get a training montage where he's ripping up tree stumps. He's shadow boxing. I love the scene where he's like beating up a punching bag, and then they unzip the punching bag and a bunch of bruised goblins come out of it.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was even, I think, better than the other scene with the skeleton.
Yeah. No, that was perfect. A good callback, and ways to like throw more of these characters at you to really flesh out this world. Then we get the typical, like, it's a nighttime, it's gonna be the big boxing match, and then we meet our challenger, who's the giant, and he's almost ready for this fight, and he's gonna challenge the champ. The champ is the name of a cannon. An inanimate cannon, which I'm assuming, again, a unit probably. I hope it's called the champ in whichever game it's in, because that would be awesome. But he has to fight this cannon, and basically it starts off, the bell rings, and he just gets shot with a bunch of cannonballs, because duh.
Right.
I don't care how big you are, dude. But in the end, there's some great animation of him getting back up, where he's like very stretchy and stuff, and there's lots of smear kind of cool keyframes and stuff if you pause when he's getting like hit with these cannonballs. That's really nerdy, but I was doing that. And then he basically has a cannonball in his mouth. The cannon shoots a ball into his stomach, spitting out the cannonball back into the cannon, which makes it explode, and then everybody's excited because he won the belt. He won the match or whatever.
He beat him, yeah.
However, after the match, they cut to like the crowd goes away, and he's just sitting there punching at a wall, even with the belt on his wrist, because he's like, well, just doing what I do best, just beating up this wall over here.
Right, that's what I do.
Like, oh my God. And then we get the culmination of the episode back in the doctor's office. The dragon's got 1 hour left. He says, I'm already feeling better after the first few days, not breathing fire, felt pretty good. But then they get attacked by a bunch of like enemies who jump into this office, to which the doctor says like, oh my God, like breathe fire at them, like kill them now. He's like, but doc, I gotta wait. And he's like, well, it's kind of made up, just like do it.
Yeah, it's just a imaginary number. It doesn't
guessing
matter.
Game,
yeah.
Ivan, the doctor will see you now.
Looking great, Ivan. And only 1 more hour left until you complete your flame-free week.
Once I got over the first day or so, it really wasn't hard. Who knows? I might quit for good.
Ivan, help! Flame these guys!
I'd love to, but I still got an hour left. I could, lick them, though.
1 hour, 10 seconds, it doesn't matter. It's all guesswork. Flame them!
So kind of a fun end to here. Also, I noticed in the end credits that Tom Kenny, famous for the voice of SpongeBob, is a bunch of the voices in the show. I can't quite remember exactly which ones, but it was definitely noticeable. But that was an episode of Clash-A-Rama, the 2016 show based on the Clash of Clans and Clash Royale series. This episode was called Giant versus Giant Problem. We've kind of walked you through the episode. Now, Brad, I want to hear your thoughts on the art style, the animation, the characters of the world. What do you got?
So I liked it a lot. I really dug the look of it. Mm-hmm. It felt different than the 3D stuff that PsyOp does. It felt different than in-game content. So it's its own thing. It stands by itself. So if you're watching this, you're not confused on, I guess, where it fits in. Mm-hmm. But yeah, all the jokes and the stories were written really well, and they're funny. You do have to know the game, like we said. Mm-hmm. And you just have to accept that they're kind of random and all over the place, but that's fine.
Yeah, I was going to say that was the biggest thing. We kind of touched on it at the beginning here, but the episode is all over the place. However, I think if you're a fan of the game, the world, the characters, you don't care. You're just seeing these funny characters in this fun world. A side note is that I guess the animation studio that did Futurama also did this. I think some of that does show. It does seem a little bit like the quality's great. I love the look of it, but it seemed a little bit like quicker, I guess. I don't know, like they're putting out this quick YouTube content. I'm not really sure where to categorize that, but I do agree. I think I echo your sentiments exactly, where like I'm only sort of familiar with the game, and I thought this was great, like a great way to extend the world in another avenue. I don't know, man. Could it benefit from being like deeper on like an actual story that takes a longer time? I don't know. I don't think people want that. I think they just want to have these fun little scenes from the world.
Yeah, I'm sure if they wanted to, they could do something bigger or do like a movie or like a 30-minute episode. But these are YouTube content. The game is 3 minutes short, so let's make sure our videos are super short too. Like we know our audience has zero attention span.
Right, yeah, that's why we built the game the way we did. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And if you think about it, so this episode had two main stories, right? The dragon can't breathe fire and the giant training for the fight, which was shorter. But if you had them separately, maybe it just wouldn't have worked as well. And if in a way it is an A and a B storyline with maybe a little bit of stuff sprinkled in that's like the archer a little bit and things like that are random. But no, man, I don't know. This is great for a guy who like swore off these games because I was getting so addicted to them. This brought me right back in, and I was like, oh yeah, these characters are so great. No matter how much I don't like the back end of their systems and their games, it's like I really like the characters they've created. I think they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, and they all have like so much personality. Like if you watch, I guess if you watch any of the like PsyOp videos, they still have all that personality too. So no matter where they are, they're kind of the same characters. Yeah,
and those ads, dude, I will watch those over and over again. Sometimes they're like 2 minutes long, but they're great. Like any of the ones with the mage are probably my favorite because he thinks he's this hotshot mage, but then he blows up a fireball in his face, and it's hilarious. I don't know. It's just they've extended, I think, this world bigger than I think they ever could have. And I'd be interested to see what Clash of Clans looks like these days. Like it's a game I never picked up when it actually came out. But I think Clash Royale, man, I think they know the way the mobile gaming's going. It's got to be quicker. It's got to be more accessible. And I think that's probably the way to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
They also have another game coming out that's not related to these characters, right?
Yeah, there's Brawl Stars. That's kind of different. It's almost like a Western kind of vibe to it.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, we'll only stick to the Clash stuff here then. Well, cool.
But they have a bunch of games. They have Balloon Beach. Supercell has a ton of games.
I was gonna say I forgot that. Like I always think of them as the Clash people, but then I'm like, oh yeah, they have crazy successful games aside from just these ones too. So.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Let's get out of here. That was an episode of Clash-A-Rama for you guys. Brad, where can people find out more about you when you're not recording Toon Talk Weekly?
So you can follow me on Twitter. It's @brad, or my blog is digitalhitchhiker.com.
Great. Guys, go check them out over there. You can follow me on Twitter @JacobWilliams. And if you want more Toon Talk Weekly, we're on Twitter @Toon Talk Weekly, Facebook.com/Toon Talk Weekly. We're over on Google Plus as Toon Talk Weekly as well. Our email, if you'd like to send us one, toontalkweekly@gmail.com is the place to do that. And finally, our website, toontalkweekly.com, is the main hub for the show, where you can find any and all episodes leading up to this episode 224. You can find them all over there as well. So that's going to do it for this week's cartoon. TBD on next week's cartoon. Again, kind of with all the travel and stuff, we're kind of like grabbing these as we can and finding shows, but I'm glad we're having fun watching some shows, even while we might be away from the computers. But that's going to do it for this week's episode. We'll be back next week with another cartoon.
Take care.
About the show, visit toontalkweekly.com or follow us on Twitter @ToonTalkWeekly.